I don't want to make this video. I don't think this is going to be a good video. I really just don't care about this, but if I'm gonna be honest, this is where the conversation is. Because when it comes to the most recent NHL player to publicly request a trade from his own team, Nikita Zadorov of the Calgary Flames is somebody that moves the needle. And for good reason. As we had talked about in the quick 2-minute update we had provided the other day, Nikita Zadorov is indeed a pretty stable... kinda okay. He's stable enough, we'll just say. He's a stable defenseman, big dude, left-handed dude, and on a pretty reasonable contract of $3.75 million a year. This goes on till the end of 23-24, and as a guy who is 28 years old, smack dab in the middle of his prime, he's good enough for 20 to 30 points per season. He indeed requested a trade, and we have ourselves some updates as to what teams are in, what teams may be out, one team that's apparently gotten straight up rejected already, and other teams that are more so of a desired destination. So, let's go out there and read a few tweets as to the situation so far, just kind of go over what different insiders and analysts are saying about Zadorov. Now first, we did talk about this in the initial Zadorov trade request video, but the Vancouver Canucks are a team that is gonna be trying pretty hard in this race. We had Rick Dalibor going out there with the multiple tweets saying that the Canucks would be interested here. Another one goes out there and says that this is a player that has been coveted by the Canucks for a while. If Zadorov hits July 1st, Vancouver will be on his list of potential destinations. So, there's one team that's in the mix, potentially one of the front runners, whatever, we did talk about this in the initial video 3 days ago, but since then we have had some other conversations popping up too. Here's an article on New Jersey Hockey Now, published by James Nichols on November 11th, saying that Nikita Zadorov would welcome a trade to New Jersey. Take a look at the body of the piece. A source close to Zadorov tells New Jersey Hockey Now that the 6'6", 248-pound defenseman would indeed welcome a trade to the Devils. Of course he'd go to New Jersey. Who wouldn't want to go to a contender? Now, that is just a small comment. It just kind of insinuates, yeah, he'd be okay with going here. But there isn't really any super strong desire expressed. However, because it was reported by the folks over at Hockey Now, I did feel it was appropriate to include this discourse in the video. If you go over to New Jersey and you talk about their team, it is kind of defenseman lacking. I mean, they've definitely been good this season, and I don't want to discredit the effort in which they have brought themselves to where they are in the Metro Division, but there always was some sort of a defensive conversation. You could say, oh, it's the goaltending, it's the defenders themselves. Their offense is fine. Totally fine. Jack Hughes, when he's of course in the lineup, brought Meyer, Hischier. You've got Tyler Toffoli there, who has been dominating. Dawson Mercer still there too. Timo Meier. This is a good team. But if you have an opportunity to add on to your defense and solidify things a little bit more, that is probably a desirable route to explore. It's why the Canucks would be involved in this conversation, it's why the Devils would be involved here, it's why all these teams would find themselves at the helm of the Nikita Zadorov conversation. Obviously for Vancouver, there is the extra added defenseman depth thing. You could take one of the Coles or the Soucies and move them to the right side, have Zadorov play elsewhere in the lineup. Of course, I'd probably prefer Chris Tanev just because I really like him, and we've talked about this multiple times before. Y'all seem to be on that train too. I mean, some of y'all are a little bit cooler on him, which is totally fine. He is a bit older, but Nikita Zadorov definitely isn't that bad of an acquisition either. But when it comes to the other teams that are apparently on the destination list, take a look at this tweet made by Carter Brooks, Brooksy84, who does work for Sports Illustrated and the Hockey News. He tweeted this out. When was it? On the 10th as well. Word out of Calgary is that Nikita Zadorov does not have much interest in Winnipeg. So there's already one team that was rejected in this entire conversation. The Hockey News has also learned that Toronto would be the Canadian city of choice. The 28-year-old is in the final season of his 2-year deal, carrying a $3.75 million AAV cap hit. Now, the quote that is provided is that he likes the beach. And I'm going to be honest, if you're talking about the beach, why are you talking about Toronto? If you want to talk about beach, well, I know the best place to go out there and beach. No, it is not Barbie Land. No, it is not right in the GTA. You gotta come to Kitsilano Beach, baby. You gotta come to English Bay. You gotta go to Second Beach. You gotta go to Third Beach. There's so many beaches here in Van City that I guess that quote kind of spells a different outcome than what is concluded on the tweet. But yeah, come on, come to Vancouver. There's a lot of beach here. But right away, there is one team that is straight up been rejected in this conversation. The Winnipeg Jets apparently are not a destination he would want to go to. And if I'm going to be honest, look, no disrespect to my fans in Peg City. I know y'all exist and y'all are very lovely individuals, but yeah, okay, I can understand that. I can understand Nikita Zadorov not wanting to go from Calgary to Winnipeg, of all places. From an environmental standpoint, it makes sense. You could say maybe from a standings perspective, it doesn't really make sense, because I'll admit the Jets have been a bit better than we thought they would be this season. They are third in the Central at the time of recording this audio. Of course, there is a pretty big sort of race going on there. The Coyotes, the Blues, they're all in that mix at the moment. So maybe the change from Calgary to Winnipeg isn't really enough. Like, the environmental situation there isn't grand enough to justify going to a team that's just a tad higher in the standings than Calgary is. But either of these other teams, Vancouver, near the top of the Pacific, you've got Toronto, they're doing pretty well themselves. I mean, they are in a wildcard spot right now. But, of course, the Atlantic Division is super competitive, so it's tough to really come to any conclusions there. And then the Devils are doing pretty okay in their respects, too. So, obviously, when it comes to going to a winner, there is a preferred destination comparative to Winnipeg. And then when it comes to the idea of beach, I mean, I'm going to be honest, I'm not really too familiar with the Jersey situation when it comes to having nice shores and coastlines and beach lines, but I will make the pitch for Vancouver because they are definitely in that spot. So at the end of the day, these are the teams that I wanted to highlight: Winnipeg, Toronto, Vancouver, and New Jersey. There are, of course, some others. We did hear some rumblings about the idea of the Edmonton Oilers being involved here because, of course, that team needs more defense, but I don't really think Nikita Zadorov is going to go to Edmonton. You want to know why? Because that guy didn't play with Connor McDavid when Connor McDavid was 15 years old. There seems to be this weird pattern in Edmonton now where as long as you've cut McDavid's hair in his lifetime, you're going to get a job with that hockey team. And I know we joked about that idea in the video yesterday, talking about how Ken Holland is a puppet, but still, it's very strange how everything comes to life in that way. I don't know. But either way, if you're a fan of the Calgary Flames, I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comments about these three teams: Vancouver, Toronto, New Jersey. What are your thoughts about the rejection to the Winnipeg Jets? And if we are talking about a Nikita Zadorov trade, what is it that you want in return? We had seen people tossing around figures and different numbers and contracts and all these other things, but I don't think there's been a certified, insider going out there and giving out the price, because if we had that, then we'll probably make a video about it soon. But if you're a fan of the Calgary Flames, what is it that you want for Zadorov? What is it that you want for any of your guys that are expiring and going to be on the trade market soon? I've been hearing a lot of bad things about Elias Lindholm's play this year. We've seen Chris Tanev potentially be on the market. What is the price in your mind for these guys? And if you're a fan of the Canucks, the Leafs, the Devils, or even the Winnipeg Jets, what is the price that you would be willing to pay? Obviously, we haven't talked about cap at all in this video, so that's something you also have to consider when analyzing what it is a trade like this could look like. But either way, if you're a fan of any of these teams, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.